Hey everyone, Chris the Freelancer here with a special guest I actually met here at Hubud a few weeks ago. Doctor of Chiropractic, my interviewee for the day, is the author of Travel, Learn, Earn. It's a book about how travel is the best investment you can make and how you can easily live a life of freedom and adventure. Travel is of course what we're all about here, so not just for the experience but for the opportunities, both professional and otherwise, that travel can bring. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce and welcome my friend, Dr. Matt Horkey.
Just call me Matt, and thanks for the plug. I appreciate it. I'm real excited. Thanks for having me on the show.
No worries, and thanks for taking this interview on short notice. Okay, so the book is called Travel, Learn, Earn. How would you describe your philosophy when it comes to travel?
I think that travel expands what I like to call learning agility. So it's like personal development on steroids, literally. Because I mean, think about what you had to do to get here. Maybe I can't remember. Is this your first time in Bali?
I've been here like when I was a kid, but first time as an adult.
Okay, when you're an adult or when you were a kid, when you're riding a bike and you're dodging in between people, your reaction time has to be really fast, right?
Yeah.
Things are not going to work always like you want them to work. You were just talking about taxi drivers not being able to take you to your hotel. So it's just, you first of all learn how to be okay with imperfection. You also learn how to get over things really quickly. And the travel is peppered with dozens of lessons that I think help you shape you into a better person, basically.
Yeah. It makes you uncomfortable, and it's how you adapt at those certain times. I think people shouldn't get caught in a rut of being too comfortable. So travel is one of those great ways to just throw you in the deep end, kind of depending on where you travel to. But like you said with the taxi driver, we've had language difficulties, ordering food sometimes is a problem. Nothing too difficult here in Bali. We're pretty good.
Well, there's a lot of noise going on out here, so sorry if your viewers can't pick up, but I think what you just hit is language is the most important thing. I wrote a chapter in my book all about communication and how literally when you come from the heart and you're really, really speaking how you feel, communication will transcend language barrier. Like you have language barriers and you find a way to get things done still. Body language, who you are as a person, facial. I mean, 70% of language is through the body and is physical.
Yeah. Excellent. When did you start to discover this power and influence of travel in your life?
I'm from a small town. I know you're from Australia. You were from what town again?
Brisbane.
Brisbane. Okay, so even all the Aussies say that the Brisbane's like the hillbilly town out of.
Really?
That's what my Aussie friends say, like out of Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I'm not teasing you. I'm teasing myself because my dad's a farmer. I come from a town of 2,000 people. I never traveled abroad ever in my life. Till my first year of graduate school, I was 23, and I went to Iceland. I was supposed to go with myself, but a friend. That was the first time I traveled, stepped foot abroad.
Iceland.
In Iceland, that was my first abroad trip.
Was it cold there? Or?
No, it was perfect. It was about 15 degrees every day, 23 and a half hours of sunlight, which was a little bit odd.
That's their summer.
Yeah, you walk out of the pub and you're like 3 in the morning and it's bright out. But that's what. After that, I was bit like anybody that travels. You get bit by the travel bug after that.
Yeah.
Every single break I had in graduate school from then on out, I took a trip. So I took 2 3-week trips a year, traveled around the world a few times, and I was just bitten by the bug. And
yeah, that's definitely me as well.
Yeah.
Talk about freedom, abundance, and success in the book.
Yeah.
How does travel give you that access to those things?
Well, first of all, I think you have to identify what you want to get out of travel. First of all, that's what most people don't understand what they want, right? So number one, if you want just adventure, it's super easy. You go be an independent traveler. That's really simple. Number two, if you want to go help and contribute to somebody's lives, you can do a volunteering trip. So it's all about identifying what you want to get out of travel first, because travel can give you anything that you want.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, there's really a lot of people wouldn't expect a place like this, for example, Hubud, would exist in Bali. But if you're familiar with like the creative culture here in Bali, this place actually makes a lot of sense. And definitely with the rise in people becoming more digital and more nomadic, aka digital nomads, this place makes a lot of sense, and it's a top space. I've been here 2 weeks, so
and it's happening. You can see everybody. You can see everybody moving in and out. It's a happening place, right?
Yeah, totally. In your book, you talk about your time in India, and it seemed like it was a very profound experience for you. So if you could talk about your experience.
Well, it's my favorite place to travel by far.
Yeah.
I spent 7 weeks there. You know, I talked about it in the talk just now how India is the center of Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and shoot, I'm missing the fourth one now. Do you remember what I said? Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Sikhism. So, four of the world's oldest religions, the vibrational energy is off the charts. It's dirty, it's loud, it's smelly. It's just incredibly intense. Most people get there and then say, I have to leave right away. Go ahead.
Yeah, I get that as well. I've been to India. One word I describe India is just amazing. It's just so interesting. And they retain so much of their own culture, which I love as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit rainy here, so we might have to move it inside.
Okay.
I think there is a monsoon season, so we're going to change locations, but keep tuned. We're going to keep on with the interview.
Okay.
And you went to Thailand after India, is that correct?
Yeah, I went to Thailand. That's the first time I've been in Thailand. I was so excited to go, I remember. And when I got there, I thought it was crap. Because you go down to Koh San, you've been to Koh San Road, right? I said, I feel like I'm in America.
Where's that? Phuket?
In Bangkok.
Oh, Bangkok.
It's the main backpackers. I thought, I'm on spring break in the U.S. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
But when you go deeper under the skin, of course, Thailand's wonderful. That's why everybody always goes there. It can be a wonderful place, wonderful food, wonderful people.
And Bangkok tends to divide a lot of people. If like it's a busy city and chaotic, so if you don't like that, if you're not that kind of person, that you can really not like Thailand, but you got to give it a chance. And sort of the rural areas and the beaches and islands are obviously amazing.
So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I've traveled 2 ways before. I traveled with bootstrap and I had nothing, which was an awesome experience, and I never want to do again, ever. And I've also traveled, of course, I mean, remember staying in the Salvation Army in India for 50 cents and then looking at the bed, and it was just brown and disgusting. I never want to do that again. And I've traveled also on the high end, especially when business was going really well in Singapore. Bangkok is an amazing city, especially when you're not bootstrapping.
Yeah.
I mean, they have there's one Michelin star restaurant there. You get a meal for $60 US at a Michelin star restaurant. Some of the places are just awesome. The high end stuff. Actually, Bangkok, from a cuisine perspective, has some of the best Italian in Asia besides Japan.
Oh wow.
Bangkok. That's on the high. That's on a little bit of the higher end style. It's on the backpacker circuit style, but it can be phenomenal. You can have phenomenal experiences, like you said, no matter which way you travel.
Oh, man. And did you have some key lessons come out of your time in Thailand?
The biggest lesson I had is I traveled. Have you been up to Chiang Mai, right?
Yeah, I've been to Chiang Mai.
So you probably did the hill trekking, right?
We were only there for 4 days actually, and we didn't do that.
So we did.
We're gonna be back.
Yeah, you're going soon. Yeah,
very soon.
So you have to do. So even though it can seem touristy, okay, everybody, it's cliche. Everybody does it, but I went one time with 2 people from Malawi, 3 Frenchmen, 2 people from Italy, 2 Englishmen, and our Thai guide. So there's 9 of us.
Yeah.
And of course, Italians that travel abroad, I don't want to stereotype, but usually they don't speak English that well. The French too as well. You have the Thai guy that kind of spoke well. And we were sitting down one night at dinner, and one of the girls asked me why I'm doing, what I'm traveling, what my career path is next. And I started talking about philosophy, metaphysics, communications with people, just all these things that I'm really passionate about. And at the end of the evening, I remember looking up. This is a chapter in the book. They were all staring at me. And then a couple of the Italian guys were like trying to speak like they understood. Yeah. And there's a French girl who said, I don't understand what you're saying, but I understand. So that lesson taught me that communication transcends language.
Yeah.
You've probably noticed that here. You can get along without speaking the language as long as you're coming from a place of authenticity, the heart, using body language. It will transcend everything. And that's what helped the most in business. Is learning how to control your body language and how to be authentic and honest, because that's what people want to deal with today in business. They want to deal with people that are authentic.
Yeah, I watched a TED talk recently, and I might link it if I find it. It's by a Canadian guy, and he said the universal thing that he did to communicate with everyone and kind of stay all good is smile. And if you smile everywhere, you generally stay on people's good sides.
It's the law of reciprocity. So if you want to smile, what's the best thing to do? You smile. If you smile one time, you're gonna get 10 smiles back.
Yeah, awesome. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but minimalism seems to play a big part in your travel philosophy. How would you describe abundance in terms of experiences and opportunities rather than, say, physical possessions?
It's identifying what you really want in life. Actually, one of my mentors, I'm glad you brought this up, when I went to set about business and start my chiropractic practice, he said, get as successful as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can, to get all the crap, the material stuff that you want, to then realize that you don't need it.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I started doing well, I have to be honest, I said it would never change me. It would change me a little bit. I got into all this stuff, but then you start to realize, when I went down and looked at what my real core values are, I realized I didn't need it.
Yeah.
So that's why my girlfriend and I, we sold all our stuff. We left last May. We've been traveling around the world. It's so funny, minimally with a backpack, but yet we're not staying in small places. Like, we usually try to stay at a nice 5-star hotel once a month just to be comfortable, clean up.
Yeah.
So minimal, yet in a way where you're not being wasteful.
Yeah.
But you're still not limiting yourself from having experiences.
Totally. And it's so much easier to be a minimalist nowadays with digital technology.
Yeah.
Before I left, some of the people watching this will know I gave away all my physical books because I wasn't going to be able to carry them. And those were the first things to go, because there's so many of them that would take up a lot of space, and they obviously weren't coming with me. So I've switched to like Kindle and ebooks now. I've got don't bring a lot of hard drives because I've got all my data on the cloud now. So it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Digital technology, I think, is really enabling travel and facilitating things like being a minimalism, which is what you need for this lifestyle, really.
The so funny thing is, so my girlfriend is, she's definitely is not a bootstrapper. She comes from a culture in Singapore where it's all about consumerism.
Yes,
it's all about what you have, showing off what you have. And she told me, which she was doing great this entire time traveling, is when she got back to Singapore, she was going to be so excited because she can open up her closet and all her clothes, her shoes, and her bags are there.
Yeah.
And when she got home, she opened her closet and she said, this actually kind of sucks. Like, you have to put effort into what you're wearing. I liked it when I had so little, because you didn't even think about what you were wearing.
Yeah, totally.
You don't really need all that other stuff.
Yeah, true. Awesome. I kind of want to get into how travel has helped you professionally.
Okay.
I've got found a few quotes from the book to get us started.
Okay, great.
So number one is, travel teaches you the most important lesson you need for business: resilience. And when you travel, you have to come up with creative ways to solve problems. And I think those two quotes kind of articulate some of the reasons why travel is a good experience, not just for the experience in terms of your personal life, but professionally as well.
Yeah, there's nothing. I think Calvin Coolidge, one of the U.S. presidents, said it best, that there's no more important factor than resilience in a man. Not talent, not intelligence. There's lots of people that were talented, a lot of people that were intelligent that didn't amount to anything. The people that change the world and amount to success are the people that are willing to not stop and have the resilience to push through. And although I didn't quote it exactly, that's basically some of the quotes. So when you're traveling, if you're going to probably learn it, you're setting off on this journey, you're going to learn that or you probably have already seen, there's places that you want to go or things that you want to do, and sometimes your journey doesn't coincide. Like you have to take an offshoot, or you have to go, you have to connect to this city to get here. You weren't even expecting to come back to Hubud along this journey, and you did the inconvenience of coming back up here, setting up the cameras even though it was raining, and then changing that because you were persistent. And that's how life happens. In business, people think that it's linear. Like it goes like this. Totally. It doesn't. It goes like I'm in the limbo right now of starting something new, and we're making mistakes going here, there. It's not linear. And the second thing is, I think it was being flexible, right? Learning things on the fly. Is when you travel, you have to make choices super quick. Especially maybe if you're bootstrapping and there's a van of people and they're going to be leaving at 3 o'clock, but you don't know if you really want to stay longer or you want to go somewhere else. You got to make choices super quick. So it teaches you about being flexible and making quick choices and decisions.
Awesome. So I thought we could talk more about the book. It's called, here's the book, for those of you who haven't seen it before. It's called Travel, Learn, Earn, but the content is a lot about your lessons and philosophy that came from travel. Did you just want to give a short summary of the book, or not give away all the secrets?
Yeah, I can give away.
just describe the book a little bit.
When you're reading it, if you feel like you're going to need to fall asleep, I won't be offended. But anyways, it was basically, I just wanted to write it. So I have a publisher. I wanted to write it because I wanted to write my story about traveling around the world for 6 months on basically nothing, from when I graduated through India, Thailand, New Zealand, Singapore, set up life in Jakarta, ended up getting blacklisted from Jakarta, getting kicked out, and then build up business in Singapore. So I wanted to write about that story and the lessons I learned, and the publisher spun it around to make it something that was a little bit more exciting and sexy, and I think that it came together really nice. So it was basically just, I like to think of it as half Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert, half Tony Robbins. That's what I like to think of it as.
I read that you interviewed a bunch of people and discovered how travel contributed to their success. How have you discovered that travel has contributed to the success of people that you've met along the way?
Number one and two are the things we talked about, is persistence and flexibility. I had one guy that actually started an app, as silly as it sounds, to you sign up for this app, so when you buy a plane ticket, you can match up with people you're sitting next to. Maybe you don't want to talk to that person, but he said a lot of people were doing the same thing I was doing, but I only succeeded because I didn't give up. So that's persistence. Totally. Number two is people learned a lot about flexibility. I interviewed some people that were doing some big things. I'm talking about like multi-million-dollar business things, and the fact that they had to be flexible, they wanted something, and then things had to change, and they had to make a different choice. Sure. And then number three was cultivating vision. Before you travel, you've been traveling all your life, so I think you're in a different reality. So my world was just like this until I was 23.
Town, right?
Yeah. And so when you travel, your horizons broaden tremendously. Totally. And then you start to cultivate, instead of what you don't want, you start to cultivate what you do want, because you see different things. Let's say, for instance, I'll share a specific story about how this is going to help professionally. This last trip, when I traveled through Georgia, Armenia, and Turkey, just tasting wines out of the region, I ended up meeting with my girlfriend's friend. So my girlfriend's boyfriend. That didn't make sense. My girlfriend has a friend, and her boyfriend also joined us. So it was two couples. Sorry if that was confusing. This guy is unbelievably successful monetarily. Okay, he's got a lawyer of a big time. He's a partner of a big time law firm in Hong Kong. And to see, I'm trying to build my abundance mindset muscle. But we were riding up in North Georgia, up in the Caucasus Mountains, and we stayed in this fairly expensive hotel for Georgia, which is cheap country. Yeah. And our drive, what happens is when you hire a driver, like anywhere, like maybe they find local accommodation. We were staying in $200 a night hotel facing the Caucasus. And this guy, he said, he asked our driver, he said, "Do you have a hotel room for the night, or where are you staying?" And our driver kind of looked down, and without hesitation, he walked over to the counter. He's like, "Can I have a room for my driver too?" Put on his credit card like it was nothing. Nice. And that probably was one of the most influential moments of 2015, because it taught me how generous you can be and how much you can impact people's lives if you've built yourself up to a certain level.
Yeah, totally.
And until I saw it, until I tasted it, until I experienced it, it wasn't even in my horizon.
And to follow on from some of the stuff you said earlier, travel can be a great inspiration and motivator and increase your productivity. I remember just before in your presentation, one of the participants said that just by being here at a place like Hubud, he gets so much more work done. He's working more, but getting incredibly more work done because he's just so inspired by being here. And I think that's something that a lot of people forget, is that being in different environments, being in a place like this can actually boost productivity. And in the Western world, I talked about this with Steve in the other interview, about that's in a video about Hubud itself, but he spoke about how in the Western culture we have sort of focus on quantity over quality, and if you leave the office just before 5, you consider, oh, what's that guy doing? But here it's all about quality and your productivity. You can work five hours a day and get more done than you could do in 9 hours. It's about the quality of time. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
No. I think one thing that we're talking about inspiration, a pitfall that people fall into with travel, and people are traveling long term, or anybody in life, doesn't even have to be travel, is when you travel at first, you get inspired because you have this magical sense of enchantment. Just like when you start going out, like when you first went out with your girlfriend, there's this like honeymoon phase, right? There's enchantment. Yeah. But to live a powerful life, just like to have a powerful relationship, you have to have a vision at the end of that and get beyond that level of enchantment. Yeah. So some people I've met that have traveled for a long time, they kind of lose that fire to travel and they feel guilty about it. There's nothing to feel guilty about it. They wall your butt up somewhere like Hubud and just pound out some work. Yeah. Just looking at the bigger picture, getting past that enchantment.